Citizens Guard. As usual with a human being, nothing starts without some form of provocation. I started Citizens Guard when I was pushed into a corner and I realised that I had no rights whatsoever. And I mean none. Everything that I thought was, and I use the term real in a very loose fashion here, everything I thought was real is actually a scam. Liberty, justice, equality, the right to due process, the right to progress under your own merit, the right to honesty from those who represent us, the right to policing by consent, the right to protest, and even the right to say no. But one of the worst things for me is not all of this, because we've had to face that for hundreds of years. It's been the same repetitive rubbish for nearly 1,000 years. So don't tell me you didn't know about it. It hasn't changed. You did. You just didn't want to admit it. But for me, I think the worst part of it all is when I have to start a conversation with someone in authority, like one of our representatives. And the one I'll use in particular is the one I had the most contact with, which was the Somerset MP, Don Foster. After 4 years of dealing with this individual, he finally sends me a letter saying he's not actually qualified to deal with the issues that I was talking about. The issues I was talking about was my right to due process, my right not to be punished before I'm convicted, and my right to a defence irrespective of whether I've got the money to pay for it or not. All of these things he danced me around for 4 years. Now in amongst that 4 years, I was doing all sorts of other things to try and get my right to due process. Kicking off to MPs, the Queen, been there, seen that, done that, got the letter somewhere, load of trash. The Queen's answer to your right to due process is, I'm not allowed to get involved in politics. So your Magna Carta is trash. Irrespective of what anyone can tell me, I have already had the argument. Your Magna Carta is trash. Nearly 100 lords have got court cases going on all over the country to try and get parts of the Magna Carta enforced so the government doesn't keep stealing all the land and all the things that the lords have got. Oh yeah, they took the government to court. £100 million later, they have got absolutely nowhere. So where are you going to get? You don't know what's gone until you actually ask. And by the time you ask, it's normally too late. In studying as much as I could, not about politics, because politics is trash, but about the people who profess to be politicians, all I seem to find is a whole shed full of people who'd quite happily murder us all if it means a profit for them. There are very few politicians you can actually go to who will actually show you any form of politics that has worked. With the exception of the ending of the Second World War and the building of the NHS, there isn't. And we only got the NHS because of the Second World War. Because our representatives understood that they had to give us something. Now that they've had their uses of it, they took it away. Why? So as they can offer it to us again. This is how stupid we really are. We will be offered all of this again by some other politician professing to represent us, who's saying that his idea of your tomorrow is better than your own. He's that arrogant to look down at you and say, I've got a better idea than you, about where you're going to, about who you belong to, about how long you work, about how long you'll live. I find it very disturbing that when I go to a conversation with one of my representatives, I have to look him in the eye and accept there's a 50-50 chance not only is he telling me lies, but that he's committed a criminal offence. Whether it's tax evasion, frauding his accounts, abusing little children from menus in the children's homes, or helping the bankers rob us all and help to keep their jobs that they're still doing, stealing from us. Whether it's any of this, the point of the fact is, a criminal offence is a criminal offence. And I can't start a conversation with somebody I know has a good chance that they're committing criminal offences, and I've got to trust this? I've got to trust this guy who may have been abusing children, who may be covering up the abuse of children, and you can't tell me that this doesn't happen, because I was there. So when I look at a representative, I see somebody who tells me I'm telling lies. I see somebody who's quite happy to stand behind a leader who says, it's all a conspiracy theory. I'm not a bloody conspiracy theory. I'm right in your face. And I'm going to stay there until I can look at a representative and say, there's an honest man. Ain't happened so far. That's why Citizens Guard is up. Because I want people to see what they're dealing with. Forget the fallacies. Forget the honour, the loyalty, the respect, the fear. Forget all this nonsense they've stuffed into you, because that's exactly what it is. It's nonsense. But it's believable nonsense. Believable liars are the worst of them all, because they represent us. And so far, they've sold the police, most of the military, all of our services, every single one of our children's homes, our courts. How do you sell a court? How do you make a court into a business? How do you make the police into a business? Follow this one with me, in your mind. How do you make the police a business? Unless you're going to rob everybody. I may be a peasant, but I'm a peasant who's looking and saying to himself, enough is enough. Blag me once. Blag me twice, I get offended. Keep blagging me all the time, and I will lose the plot. Now we need to lose the plot. Have a nice day. Salut.